we had this idea, could we reward people for that time that they're spending there, for that attention, that data? Data is the new oil, essentially. It's kind of like these companies that are trillion-dollar companies, Facebook, Apple, Google, they're making money off of you, and if the product's free, generally means that you're the product. And what we do is we try and right size that and share that revenue back to the consumer through their mobile usage.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. Joining me now is Dan Novias. He is the CEO of Mode Mobile. He's also the co-founder of the company as well. Dan, good to see you. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Steve. I'm great.
Good. I'm excited to learn more about the company. It's really interesting, fascinating. I'll start this off by saying you're giving people free phones, but not really. Maybe sort of take me through the origins of the company.
Yes. And yeah, I think the best way to think about Mode is we're the closest company to make smartphones free or better is how we generally think about it. General origin of the company is, if you pull out your phone today and you looked at your screen time, you probably would see that you're spending in the vicinity of about 40 to 50 hours a week on your smartphone device. And this is continuing to going up for these new generation, Gen Z and things of that nature. And so when we started seeing this trend about 6 years ago, we had this idea, could we reward people for that time that they're spending there, for that attention, that data? Data is the new oil, essentially. It's kind of like these companies that are trillion-dollar companies, Facebook, Apple, Google, they're making money off of you, and if the product's free, generally means that you're the product. And what we do is we try and right size that and share that revenue back to the consumer through their mobile usage. We generally just taking the things that you're doing any day, playing games, reading the news, trading stocks, anything you're going to do on the phone, charging your phone. And we created software around it to align incentives with advertisers, and everything's opt-in. You don't have to do these things. But the idea is Earn Phone is really a category of device. And we see that that's kind of we believe that to be the future in this digital economy.
So Dan, can you put it on any smartphone, or is it specifically for the phones that you're offering? How does that part of it work?
Yeah, so no, it works on any Android-based device. We started
Okay.
here because we saw that if there's about 7 billion smartphones around the world, about 1 billion or so are Apple iPhones, and then the other 6 billion are mostly Android. And we found that the people that are going to care most about earning couple $100 a month, whatever it might be, are going to be more that budget conscious crowd. They're not going to spend $1,000 to $2,000 on an iPhone. And so the way that our business works is you can take your smartphone and turn it into an Earn Phone just by downloading our app. Or you can use one of our phones that we've made that we get in the stores like Walmart, Best Buy, Target, etc. But really, we're the future vision of it. I know this is like a trading crowd, so if you think about a company like Roku, what Roku did, and many people don't necessarily know this, but it was kind of like a offshoot within Netflix, and it was kind of its like ugly redheaded stepchild, and it tried to go public many times. And in 2015, they really cracked this amazing code, which was, hey, if we take our software and we start licensing it to TV makers like TCL, Panasonic, then they get that distribution. All the revenue is going to be made on your streaming usage. So when you're at home, and the average household today is about 2.5 hours that are watching television, the money is actually being made on your streaming usage. And so that's a major reason why the cost of TVs went from $1,000, $2,000. I mean, there were some technological advancements, but it went down to $100 because all the money is being made on the streaming, and they're getting a rev share of that. So that's kind of how Mode really operates, and how we see the future is that we're doing that in the smartphone space with carriers and OEMs. And that's kind of the future vision of the business.
And is it something that you add people all the time? I've heard you, I watched an interview where you talked about, if you're playing Candy Crush pays a bit to our company, pays a bit to you while you're streaming that. So are you doing it with individual companies or?
Yeah. So we work with thousands of advertisers, but yeah, that's a perfect example. So, people like to play Candy Crush. What does Candy Crush want? Right? The advertiser wants you to create a habit playing its game. And so our thesis is that they'll pay us, just like they're paying Facebook. But what we'll do is we'll take a percentage of that. So, and then we'll reward you per minute you play Candy Crush for a period of like a week, for you to build a habit. So what the advertiser gets is they get a loyal consumer that's using their product. We take a percentage of that, and then the user gets a little bit of a reward for something that they were going to do anyways. And if you think about that across, trading, we work with like companies like Robinhood. What do they want? They want institutional trading accounts. You deposit $5 in a trading account, and then they're maybe willing to pay $100 for that. And so we'll share some of that revenue back with you as a consumer. And so we just do that across every facet, like reading the news or streaming video, et cetera. And that's how essentially it works.
So Dan, I know that you're a private company right now. You are raising some capital as well. Are you looking at potentially taking the company public? Is that something you
Yep.
want to do, or are you staying with the sort of the Roku model, as they say?
Well, I mean, I think the Roku model is a good, future forward kind of approach of,
Yeah.
a public company and has, is last I checked was like a 10+ billion dollar kind of market cap. So, but our goal is, yes, we do want to take the company public eventually. We have reserved the mode ticker symbol with Nasdaq most recently, and we're in the process of doing a Reg A that's going very, very well. We have over 33,000 shareholders already in the business. And so that's kind of what we're moving towards. I would say Reg A is kind of, once you get qualified for that, it's kind of like it's not, considered a mini IPO, but you have to kind of do a lot of those same things, audited
Yeah.
financials. It gets you ready for being that public facing company. But we see this as a multi billion dollar opportunity, considering the scale and the fact that, if you think about what Uber did for cars, or Airbnb did for homes, they've created new asset classes out of these everyday things. But the thing is, not everyone owns a car, not everyone owns a home. But whether you're sitting here in your apartment in Manhattan, or this nice background that you have here in this place,
Vancouver, Canada.
yeah,
Yeah.
in Canada, in Vancouver, or you're in like an emerging market in Madagascar, you have a smartphone, and I think that that's a really big opportunity. You're not going to earn as much as Airbnb and Uber, but you can earn something, and we believe that it's possible to make that device free. And if you can, that's kind of a very focus of kind of opening up opportunity for billions of people around the world.
Man, very exciting times for sure. Dan, thanks so much. Good to get a conversation with you about what you're doing, and it sounds exciting. We look forward to following the story. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Steve.
All right. There's Dan Novias. He is the CEO of Mode Mobile.